Life is a long highway and I'm just doing the best I can.
East is east and west is west, never the twain shall meet.
All right, well.
One ship sail east, I got to get that one now. And one ship sail west by the self-same winds that blow. So it is not by the gales, but the setting of your sails that determine which way you will go. How you're going to set your sails. Toward turbulent waters or calm waters. That's where we get these young guys and talking to them. Did I come through okay?
I think you're great. I think it's awesome. So it is an honor to be here with you, Coach Jeffries. Willie Jeffries, right here on the straight line to success, how the best bring out the best in themselves and others. And I know you just had a straight line to success, didn't you, Coach?
You know what, David, I'll say Attorney Wyatt, you're such a good friend. Success, when you see a turtle sitting on a pole, somebody put him there. He didn't get there by himself. And I can go back from the 8th grade on to the gentlemen, ladies that helped me. I just couldn't have done it without them. And I've had great help. And later on, probably, if we have time, I'll mention some of those people.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to mention them at any point in time. This is just, again, I'm honored to have an opportunity. We are good friends, Coach. You've done a tremendous amount for me and so many people. It's been great to get to know you. But let's talk about some of the stories growing up. You grew up. Tell me where did you grow up?
Well, you know, David, I grew up in Union, born in Whitmire. Dunny Shell was born on the Newberry side of Whitmire. I was born on the Union side in Goshen Hill, but a little suburb of Whitmire, South Carolina. Now, when I was 6 years old, staying with my grandmother, my mother came from Union and picked me up and took me back to Union so I could start first grade at Macbeth Elementary School in Union. So I grew up there, born, bred, and buttered in Union, and elementary school, high school, and that's when I ran into a lot of people who helped me.
Did you play any sports growing up?
I played. Well, you won't believe this. At recess, they don't have recess anymore, but we went to any school that had recess. We used to play tackle. When I was in the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and 11th grade, we played tackle at recess with your good clothes on. So I went out for the team. Well, Mr. Murrah, our coach, he was in the middle of that 92 game winning streak. He won 92 games without a defeat from 1945 to 1955.
Wow.
He won 92 games. Straight.
What was his name?
James F. Murrah, Moorer. And he was one of the first black high school coaches in the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame.
Okay.
James F. Murrah. He grew up in St. Matthews and went to South Carolina State, played football, and went to the Navy and came out, and he became the coach at Sims High. Now, that's Sims High School, where I attended high school. And Mr. Murrah, we would be out there from the 7th and 8th grade on, and he said, boys, you're too little to get hurt out here playing football. So when I got to the 9th grade, I started playing for Sims High.
I got you.
And by my senior year, I started all the games 11th and 12th grade year, and I got we had a coach, his name was Floyd White from Chester, South Carolina. He came to work at Sims High my senior year, and they didn't have all this scouting things, highfalutin scouting combines and whatever, and he told the coach at South Carolina State about me, but I already had an offer to go to Virginia State in Petersburg, Virginia, Shaw University in Raleigh, and I had a baseball scholarship to North Carolina A&T. And when Mr. Dr. Roy Moore, my college coach, came up to scout us, and after the game he offered me a scholarship, and I looked at the offers, and I committed. I guess back then they didn't know much about committing, but I committed to South Carolina State, and Mr. Floyd White, our assistant coach, would take me down during spring ball to meet some of the players, and he was instrumental in really talking me into going there, because when he came to coach with us as an assistant coach, he had just finished college at South Carolina State. So all of those people helped me. It's just
what position were you playing?
Center.
Really?
Yeah, and let me tell you, I was about 240.
Wow.
And let me tell you, David, you played both ways. You didn't. That's why a squad of 33 back then, you actually had 66 players. You didn't come out the game other than halftime and when the game was over. Now, if the coach took you out, you couldn't go back in to the start of the next quarter. So if they wanted to rest their starters, they would take them out with about a minute left in the quarter. But back then, the center played linebacker on defense, and the fullback was the other linebacker.
How about that?
And your running backs were the safeties, and it worked out well, but we all had to do it. They call it the one platoon. Then later on they had the two platoon.
That's pretty interesting right there, Coach.
Yeah, way back, long time ago.
Yeah, so you played center. I would have never guessed. I think you could have given me an opportunity, and that probably would have been about the 22nd position that I would have guessed for.
I think so. But you know...
you weighed 240 back then?
Yeah, about right at 240.
Wow.
Yeah. And my first year in college, I was about maybe 220. And you know, no one at their home will get 3 hot prepared meals per day. You just won't, because people work. You eat a sandwich, and we got down there to South Carolina State, best food, best meals in the country, and all of the visiting teams that came to play us. I think we beat them because they stuffed themselves, because they knew about their food before they got there. So I enjoyed my playing days.
Was the band as good as it is now back then when you played?
Well, you know, they didn't have all those attachments. We did have the Marching 100 at that time. You know, now it's the Marching 101.
Okay.
The reason it was the Marching 101, it had been the Marching 100 for so long until Mr. Troop and another band director went out and found the prettiest young lady he could find, I think either from Camden or Darlington, Annette Reynolds, and put her in front of the band, and she was our drum majorette. And that is how the South Carolina State Band became the Marching 101.
That's an awesome story. That's a great piece of history right there.
Yeah, but they brought the right one in there to put up front.
That's fantastic. So South Carolina State gave you an opportunity to play, get educated, and I know you've coached so long, I can't imagine you did anything else, but did you do anything else before getting into coaching?
You know, I should have. I had a bachelor's of science in civil engineering. Wow. I think and a pure bachelor of science, because now we ran out of professors and the money got tight, so we had to go to civil engineering technology at South Carolina State. Now, back then, I had got a pure degree, bachelor of science in civil engineering. Had a job, David, with the State Highway Department, starting to work on July 1st, 1960. These are exact dates. And so before July 1st, around early June, Sandy Gilliam, who was one of our coaches and a great guy, great friend, and another guy who did a tremendous amount of help for me, He said, come and ride with me. He was working for the Boy Scouts out of Spartanburg. He would go around to the Boy Scout troops and whatever. So we went to Lancaster. And we got over there. Mr. Rucker and Mr. Belt had lost 4 coaches. The 4 coaches left Bar Street and went to Elizabeth Heights, a little town near Lancaster. He said, I need 4 coaches. And I started thinking. I said, my high school coach used to let me draw plays, and he would look at them. My college coach used to let me doodle with him. And I said, shoot, that's really what I want to do, because I want to work with the youth, and it just hit me. And I said, I'll take one of those jobs. Sandy took one, and we started coaching at Bar Street High School.
How about that?
Yeah, Sandy was the athletics director and head coach, and Raymond McDougal and I were assistant coaches, along with two of the older guys that had been there that were just, just came out to help out with the equipment and whatever. And
so that started out, so you went from being an engineer to being a coach. Just like that.
Being a coach. And, those angles and triangles helped me. The strongest geometrical figure is the triangle. But I think it helped me immensely. And things didn't go well at Bar Street. In those days, there was only one all-black high school in the state that carried the name of the town. All the other black high schools, Carver, Washington, not a one of them carried the name of the school. And I thought it would be great in history. There was one high school that we played against when I coached at Gaffney that carried the name of the school. And I know the people from there. It's right on Highway 48. It's right there by Gadsden. I cannot call the name of it, but we used to play them. It was the only black high school that carried the name of the city. So anyway, we would play. Now I got off of the subject, but things didn't go well at Bar Street. But you know what, David? That's where I met Mary.
Oh.
Great. Her sister was in my algebra class.
Oh, yeah?
And she brought me 2 pictures, and she said, these are my 2 sisters. Pick one, like they were available. I said, what? I said, I do like that one there. So she introduced me to Mary, and Mary invited me up. Mary had 1 year left in college at Johnson C. Smith. So it was around Christmas time, so she invited me up to play pinochle. I didn't know how to play pinochle, but I said, yeah, I'll come. And when time came for me to go, I didn't know how to play, so I didn't go. And I stood her up that night.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I sure did. I didn't mean to do it, because her cousins that stayed overnight with Mary and them, about 4 a.m, they say, he's out there. I think we hear somebody at the door teasing Mary. But I didn't show up. Their cousins would say, Mary, somebody's at the door. But anyway, we got back together the next day, and we got married, I think, a month after. Well, not a month after that. We got engaged in December, and we got married in June. And that's when I told you, David, she had that year left in college. That's when her daddy says, she's all yours. That means you pay that bill. But anyway, it was the start of a 61-year marriage.
Wow, and, congratulations.
Because 1961, if you count from there to now, you'll get 61. So that was a plus. Mary was the plus in Lancaster and Bar Street High School.
Yes, sir.
Because the high school was on Bar Street, Barr. And to let people in on some intricacies and how things were, we were to get $100 supplement for coaching. We got state aid. Our salaries, my salary was $3,200 a year, not per month. You'd take home about $250 per month, and he promised me the $100 to coach to take on another sport, basketball. Well, I didn't play in college, but I played 4 years in high school, so I coached that team. He never paid me. He went to the grave with my $100.
Oh, no.
And so I pulled a fast one on him. I went to him and I said, look, sir, I'll teach next year, but I don't care to coach. And he slammed his fist on the desk and said, the coaching goes along with it. You don't coach, you don't work. And I said, look, it seems like an older gentleman would try and help a younger person in life. I went home, the telephone rang, and it was Mr. Simpson from Gaffney offering me a head coaching job just after that 1 year.
How about
the
that?
Lord, yeah. You look on the back of all your paper money, it's "In God We Trust" on the back of it.
Yes, sir.
And we went up there to Gaffney. I went from $3,200 to $4,200,
Hey.
$1,000 raise. And I had turned them down, though, in Gaffney. I was crazy enough to stay on in Lancaster. And Mary, one day we ran into the principal. It was the middle of June, and he hadn't hired a coach in Gaffney. And we ran into the principal, Mr. Simpson. I saw him coming. We were at a restaurant. I hid in the bathroom. Mr. Simpson was a slick guy from Welch, West Virginia. He saw me too. He hid in the telephone booth, the type you go into and slide the little door. So I waited long enough for him to have gone about his business. I came out and he jumped out of the booth.
Oh, no.
And he said, the job is still open for you that you turned down. And Mary said, what job? And he told her, and thanks to Mary, she said he'll take it. And we got to Gaffney, 7 years there, on to North Carolina A&T, 4 years there, on to the University of Pittsburgh. About a year and a half there with Carl DePasqua and Johnny Majors, who came in after. Well, that was the only time I got fired, but I didn't stay fired but an hour, because when Coach DePasqua, they let all of us go, Johnny Majors had Jackie Sherrill to call me and said, look, we're going to retain you. So I did that time, and they offered me the job at South Carolina State in January of 1973. So that's how it all happened.
That's how you got to just straight line to success, baby.
It really was. And, you know, I appreciate the way you're saying that, because everything came in line. I tell the young guys, work hard. Throw away those resumes. Throw them in the trash can. You're not going to get a job. Your resume will be in a stack of them. Work hard. Somebody, more than one person, will be watching you. And it happens. If you're happy where you are, be happy where you are. Work hard. Do your best. Don't try and be the best. Just do your best. And someone had been watching me. Every job I received, David, my friend, was offered to me.
Just from doing what you were doing where you were.
That's right, by working hard and being happy, and didn't have a resume, didn't need one. They told me, throw those in the trash can. You're not going to get a job passing those out.
I think that's great advice. And now you talked about a coach that won 92 straight. That's pretty remarkable. I doubt that'll ever be repeated. But you had a really good career there at South Carolina State. Tell us about that. I mean, did that start out successful for you, or you have to build the program? How?
Well, you know, Buddy Pugh will tell you. Buddy Pugh said if Coach had looked out on this field and saw us, he never would have taken this. Well, what happened, they did have a great coach before me, Coach Ori Bank. He was an outstanding coach. But they had fallen on hard times, 1-9. So I told Buddy one day, I said, look, if you guys had been great, great players, Coach Banks would still be here. I said, that's how I got the job. So the president told me, he said, you got one guy out there that's knocking them in the head, Donnie Shell. And Donnie had a number with 90, a linebacker. And he said, you got a young kid that's really coming on, Harry Carson.
Oh, wow.
And see, Buddy and Charles Wright, all those guys were offensive linemen.
Okay.
I got there, and we lost our first game 13-7 to Bethune-Cookman. The next game with North Carolina A&T was a tie, 14-14. Next game we lost to Howard. Howard had a real good team that year. That's when I said, can't stand it anymore. I started getting the boys up at 5:30 and practicing at 6:30. And it was merely a walkthrough with your helmet and sweats, no pads or whatever. And we walked through all assignments Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We got up 3 mornings and won every game after that. Won 7 in a row and got invited to the prestigious, back then, Orange Blossom Classic in Miami. And so we went 7-3-1, very, very good year. But my greatest enjoyment in coaching, when people ask me, it comes out easy. It was winning the first conference championship for South Carolina State. The conference started playing football either in 70 or 71. And 74, we won the first of 5 in a row. We won that one in 74. We won all of them up to 74, 75, 76, 78. We won 5 in a row, and I left in 79 to go to Wichita. So we came in hot, and we remained hot.
That's awesome. That's a great story right there. So And the story about Wichita, going to Wichita, I know that one of these banquets, the Football Hall of Fame banquets, which you've been a stalwart in, the first one, you were, of course, honored, and I don't think you've missed one. I don't think you've ever missed one, but
no, I haven't. Yeah, I go back to support it.
It's awesome having you back, and I was trying to think. You were just talking about something. I've lost my train of thought over here, Coach. But the football connects leaders, connects celebrities. Not just great football players, but basketball players. There was one basketball player specifically, big Xavier McDaniel.
Yeah,
and how he came. You guys were friends. I mean, tell us the story about. He ended up coming to Wichita, is that right?
Oh, sure, but see...
Tell us about when you got out there, and that was a big deal for you.
Yeah, well, Gene Smithson was our basketball coach, and one of his assistants' name was Jeff Jones. And they didn't go down there to see X. They went to see the guy who went to DePaul, who ended up coaching in the NBA, Corbin. They went down to see him, and they saw X. Something happened with Corbin, and they were amazed, a guy the size of X, how he got every rebound and how he roughed people up. But the bad news, he had a 1.2 GPA, and that's when Smithson and Jeff Jones, Coach Jeffries knows everybody, and I knew his basketball coach quite well. And I said, X, you got to get into these books, and they got tutoring. And Harold White, the late Harold White, who was over academics at Carolina, right. He'll tell you right now how in the world did X go from a 1.2 to a 2.1. He had to get a 2 point. And we were able to get X, sign him to come to Wichita State, although they went down there looking at that Corbin guy.
That's a great story.
Yeah, but X when you saw X, and we see him all the time now. He's put on quite a bit of weight, but we run into him, and we were fortunate that, and their coach went into the Hall of Fame down there in Columbia. I'll think of his name later, but he he helped us with X, and X had a tutor for every subject. And I don't know if the coach paid the tutors by the hour or how they did it.
Well.
But X and Harold White, the late Harold White,
Right.
that we gave the humanitarian award, he still can't figure it out how you go 1.2 to 2.1. That's 9/10 of a point. You might as well be a whole point.
That's a big time. That was
Yeah.
big. And
But-
X is great. He was great, has a lot of respect for you. But tell me, that was a big deal for you. I mean, you're in the African American Museum in D.C., in part because of that role at Wichita. And you and I have talked about this before, maybe not in person. And but tell us a little bit about, tell me, what was that like, taking that role, the first African American to take on a Division I football role? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. And David, you know what?
And that wasn't really down the street in the South either, was it?
No, it was on the plains of Kansas, in the geometrical center almost of the United States.
I mean, the odds against you succeeding there were pretty great.
Ooh, yeah, well, you couldn't get any athletes to come out there to the plains of Kansas. But what happened, it suddenly hit me when the Dallas Morning News, Seattle paper, when I took that job, that was national news. And they told me, they put the pressure on me, do you know that all the black coaches coming behind you will be judged on how well you do? He said, it's just funny that you're in a race of people where sometimes they judge all of you by what one does. He said, that's not fair. But he said, and I felt that pressure. Merle Cole hit it on the head when Merle said, it'll be all of them will be the next one hired. It might be soon if he does well. And all of that pressure, we had a so-so year the first year, 6-5 my second year, 5-1 the next year, and 8-3 the next year. Could have easily been 9-2, so we made it.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of pressure, but when ESPN came to do an hour special, I didn't tell them what they wanted to hear. Like, remember the Titans, when Herman Boone, and they put all that together, there has to be some sensationalism, so there's some things they bend the truth on. Mary and I would not do it because the people in Wichita were the greatest people we've ever met, and we would never sit there and sign a paper where you can stretch the N word, the this to that. We wouldn't do it. So they cut I think you've seen it on ESPN, whatever they call it. They cut it to 30 minutes because of that. So we got along well with the people, and I only left there because they brought in a new athletics director who came from the Ivy League. And who, you know how they look upon athletics, and they brought the new president with him. And they were upset that we would take players to the library and that we had a study hall. Well, see, they didn't worry about it. They were in the Ivy League. Those boys are highly academically motivated, all A's. We had, and all the other colleges in the world except the Ivy League, you got to monitor those guys. So I saw it wasn't a fit. That's when I went to Howard. But we, Mary and I and our children had a great time in Wichita, and we still have good friends, white, black, and otherwise, that are still out there that we go and visit.
It's incredible. It's a great story there. I mean, tell me about your family real quick. I mean, and go ahead.
Well, Valerie, she's our firstborn. She, Val now, believe it or not, she's 61. And Jeff, our son, Willie Jeffries Jr., he was born Val was born in 62, Jeff in 66, and Tammy in 67. So what happened, we had a little layoff there between the first one and the last two. But they're doing well. The Tammy has a PhD, and I told her she was a post-hole digger, a PhD. She's the vice president at South Carolina State. Valerie, who has her Bachelor of Arts degree from Southern University in Baton Rouge. She wanted to go to Howard, but we couldn't get anywhere for her to live. Well, they found a place, but it was over on 12th and 14th Street. No, you don't. That's where the ladies of the night hang out, over there on the corner. So she went to Southern, graduated. Jeff, our son, started out at Howard, got good grades. We made the mistake of letting him transfer to South Carolina State back in Orangeburg, where all of his buddies were. Then his report card or his transcript reminded us of a TV station, WDFY. I told him once he had a Morse code transcript, deep deep f deep, but so he dropped out. He needs. My wife tells him all the time he needs 12 hours to graduate, but he's 56 years old now, and he has a landscaping business, so he does well.
Yeah. And
we have a wonderful family. Val is married. Tammy is married. And believe it or not, David, each of our children has 2 children. Now, I'm saying each of our children has, because they wanted me to say have, make it sound right, but each has.
Okay.
Each of our children has 2 children. And believe it or not, the oldest grandchild is a girl, and all the other 5 are knothead boys.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
What's their names? Can I write? Is that
Jade Roberts, and she is now the dean, or whatever she does. She's over all the dormitories at Howard University. She was working at Louisiana Monroe. They used to call it Louisiana Northeast, but she was doing a doctorate at Grambling, where I was once athletics director.
Okay.
She was doing a doctorate in criminal justice, and she decided to go up to Louisiana Monroe to be a residential hall assistant and still work on her degree. And she lately took a job at Howard, and she graduated from Howard. So they could all read, write, draw, and trace.
So you got, what was her name again?
Jade, Jade,
so
Jade, Ashlyn,
you
Robert.
got 5, but there's 5 other grandchildren.
5 others. Now, Molly, Jamal, Val has 2 boys. They're the 2 that went further in football. Jamal had a full scholarship at Iowa State, and Iowa State had an outstanding football team. Jamal was nose tackle at Iowa State, and he graduated. He's now playing in the XFL.
Nice.
We're trying to get him on down at the Citadel to be a graduate assistant coach. But anyway, Jordan, Valerie's other boy, was a running back for South Carolina State, but he had, because of an injury and I guess his catching on to the academics, whatever, he became the video guy. And Buddy Pugh and the coaches tell me he's the best they've ever had. So Val's 2 boys are taken care of. Jade went to Howard and graduated.
Right.
Jeff's 2 boys, Ori and Satchel. Jeff was enthused with the Negro League, Satchel Paige, so he named his older boy Satchel. Satchel graduated from North Carolina A&T, and Ori graduated from North Carolina Central. Satchel works for International Paper Company out of Memphis, Tennessee, and Ori works for, they call it, it's some kind of government job where it's not FEMA, but it's one connected. So they're all doing well. all the grands are doing well. Mary, and I'll say this about my wife. A coach's wife really shouldn't, they wouldn't think that a coach's wife worked. They really would. Well, nowadays. Back then it was different. And I'm sure Fisher DeBear and all the guys would tell you, even Johnny Majors, all that group back then, no one made that much money. So Mary had a career. We moved 7 times, David, and she retrained for a new job 7 times, and she was successful.
Wow.
And she worked for 40 years. You couldn't, I was blessed, and I know it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That reminds me of, I guess, Dabo Swinney talked about Kathleen, his wife, saying that, I guess they ran into one of her old boyfriends, and he said something.
If I had been your
yeah, what did he say?
Yeah, you'd have been something. Yeah.
Yeah. She said, well, no, if I'd have married him, he'd have been the head coach of the Clemson Tigers. So I appreciate you giving your wife credit. I have to give Ann, my wife, a lot of credit, too. They say that behind every great man is a great woman.
There's a supportive wife and a surprise mother-in-law.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Mother-in-law watching over, he ain't going to do much. But anyway.
Well, and I've heard you talk about marriage success before. What is that secret to marriage success?
Yeah, it's give and take. You have to have love within, and they all had it. Some of the ones that split, but you have to. After that, love is a common denominator, but it's respect for each other. You have to have that, and no matter what happens, if there's a mutual respect and the togetherness and closeness, you're not. I tell all the preachers. Use that super glue when they get married. So it's give and take. Like the one I tell about going to dinner twice a week. That one. And
talk about that.
Yeah,
What's
the success to 61 years of marriage. You go to Mary and I go to dinner twice a week. Dim lights, soft music, good food. Mary goes on Tuesday, I go on Thursday. So. But that's I look at. Let me tell you one day.
Yeah, please do.
These kids now, well, most of them in their mid-20s, they get married, and that young lady or guy, at the drop of the hat, they're out the door. They don't give, they don't take. That's it. This one young lady got married. They were all in love, and they says L-U-V, love, but all in love. 1 month later, she calls her mom and daddy, said, come and get me. I can't stand it. He's using these vulgar 4-letter words, come talking about cook and wash and iron. So the young girls, they don't want to do all of that.
That's
so he's using these vulgar 4-letter words.
Cook, wash,
iron. Dust.
That's fantastic. So, and you've got, we could spend the rest of the afternoon and wouldn't even scratch the surface. Go ahead.
And let me add on to that.
Yep.
That I want all the players to know, and all these young guys, success has no zip code. And I've talked, that's one of my statements that I stand on. Success has no zip code.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
It doesn't matter whether you come out of a 4-bedroom brick house or just a 1-room house. You can be successful. Success has no zip code, and that's when I tell them. When my dad passed away when I was 4 years old, mother never remarried, and we were really poor. We had to put Kool-Aid on layaway. It cost a nickel a pack. Oh, we were in rough shape, but it did not matter. Success it's what you do every day and how you. It doesn't matter if you came out of, like I said, a mansion or a one-bedroom house, and we did have a one-bed, Mama and I. My brother, who's 4 years my junior, his grandmother wouldn't turn him loose when Mama went back to Whitmire to bring him to Union. Grandmama wouldn't turn him loose, so she kept George. He passed away 2 years ago. He was a minister. And so success has no zip code. I know the chief, we had a guy who was born, they were selling half a pints out the front and the back door and all types of illegal whiskey. The guy went on to do a PhD. He's one of the top preachers in New York. So the young people have to remember that success has no zip code, that it has to be a level playing field, that you can go to either side of the track, so they speak. You know about the track side where certain people live. You can be successful. It all comes from within. You can motivate, like our coaches did us. You can motivate a person, but motivation tells how much of something you do, but your attitude tells you how well you do. So in order to motivate a person, there has to be a little spark somewhere that you can ignite within this person. Now, if there's no spark, I hate to say it, you're not going to pull that one. But motivation is a great tool, and you can motivate. I say 98% of the young men you coach, you can motivate them, and their attitude accounts for the other part of it. Your attitude and not your aptitude will determine your altitude in school.
That's good stuff right there, Coach. So, you were mentioning a little bit, we were talking about some of the folks on this helmet, some of the guys that are in our South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, and you told a pretty good story about Dan Reeves. Tell me that. What were you saying about Dan?
Dan Reeves was just a great person. We would go in the summer to spend a week with Dan Reeves when he was with Denver. Okay. And he would come in after each practice and cook those hot wings for us. And he'd have this hot sauce for some and plain for the other guy. And he did that every night we were there. And he would just love. He had me every year that I would go out there, I had to speak to the team for about 30 minutes, just tell them all kinds of jokes. And Dan Reeves was the one told a joke about the patrolman stopped the guy and said, "Do you have any ID?" And the guy said, "About what?" So, but he was all in, and he was a great guy, and I believe he was from somewhere in Georgia. I think.
You're right.
I think they had a sawmill, but he was just a down-to-earth good guy.
So, Coach, I want to, before I let you get out of here, I know you got an enshrinement to host tonight, and we appreciate you doing that. I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what does it mean to you to be in the African American Museum there in D.C.
Well, it's really an honor, David, and when you think back, yeah, that's a pretty big honor to tell you the truth. And some of them thought it was because I coached at Howard, and they were easily went over to get pictures from Howard and the other paraphernalia. When I met the curator, they had a curator specifically for the athletics part, and he was a California guy, but he came to the house and picked up some stuff. But when you think about that from a single parent home, and we had one bedroom in that house, but I slept, and we had a little kitchen attached that the gentleman built on the end. So we had one bedroom and a kitchen. My cot was in the kitchen off. I did keep warm. The stove was right there. And from there to Washington, D.C., that's a pretty big jump.
That is a big jump.
Yeah, and it goes back to show you that success has no zip code. It all goes back to that.
So when you were growing up, I mean, what was that? Did you have a goal to be a great head coach at football or a great educator? What was the goal?
No, well, not for the sake of the goal, not for the sake of the not for the sake of the goal, not for the sake of the fame, not for the prize would I hold any ambition or aim. I was good and true just for the good I could do. That's one. I worked. I did not have a goal at that time because goals are very important. Imagine a football field with no scoreboard and no goalposts. Imagine a basketball arena with no hoop. That's how important goals are. But I guess my goal was very close. My goal was doing my best every day. And really it was. And you know, like I said, every job I received, somebody came and offered it. So I didn't just have a specific goal. I did have one goal. One goal was to be head coach at South Carolina State.
Okay.
The other goal before that, and I don't know how I imagined this, was to be an assistant at North Carolina A&T. And it just came about. Hornsby Howell hired me in 1968, but I think your goals should be attainable, and if they are attainable, don't shoot way over there for that goal. Make your goal day by day, doing the best you could do. That other one will be there. Yeah, if you keep looking over there, you'll miss out, and you're not going to be successful. So my goal was from day to day doing the best I could.
That's great.
I think that's pretty. I just not thought of that. That's pretty good.
That is.
Yeah, day to day, the best I can do. Happy. And John Cooper, who coached at Ohio State, we were enemies when he was at Tulsa and I was at Wichita. We were the best of friends. And John Cooper used to always say, the best job I ever had and that I have is the one I got now. And he said, you better treat it that way. And that's the way I've always treated it, that my goal is for today is doing the best I can and hopefully helping somebody along the way. I've always had a heart to help people. And that's, all of my players say that he was a dad. So a lot of players say that in their speeches, but say Coach he was our daddy. And I would get them. They knew I would get them out every now and then. I'd cut them a breaks. They would say I had two chairs in my office, a black chair, and one was upholstered in pure red. Now, if I put you in the red chair, baby, that was it. So Harry Carson asked a boy, he came out of there. He said, did he set you in the red chair? The boy said, no, I was in the black chair. He said, if he put you over there, boy, you might be gone or you might really get it. But the boys put it that way. I really didn't have, the chairs didn't matter, but they did.
The chairs didn't matter, but they did. But you didn't want to sit in that red chair.
No, you didn't want to sit over there.
That's great. Coach, what is it that, if someone asked me and said, what do you think Coach Jeffries would want to be remembered for? What should I tell him?
I would want to be remembered a God-fearing person, a family man, and a coach who helped others, a God-fearing person / family family man, and a coach for and one who was concerned about America that way, because I'm afraid now with this X and Z. I don't know where they're headed, but anyway, I would say a God-fearing, family person, happy to be an American and community, whatever.
Well, we're proud of you in South Carolina, Coach, and let me just say thank you for the Bridge Builder Excellence Award in the community. You are a champion and have really helped me out. I am grateful and honored to be here with you, and God bless you, Coach.
Thank you, David. It's a great interview, and I certainly appreciate you. I always have. I think when Martin Roach put us together,
Good friend,
your
Martin.
good friend. We've been together as a team. I admire so much what you're doing, and we're 43rd in the nation. I hope the parents heard it on career readiness. What you're doing is more than football, as we say. It's helping these young men, and I just hope that the bridge builder concept will catch on. But again, thanks to you for everything.
Yes, sir, Coach. Well, I hope you'll come back, and again, appreciate you, and we're looking forward to a great night tonight as well.
Thank you.
God bless.
Here we go. Life is a long highway and we're doing the best we can. Everybody do your best. Come on, come on. Do your best. Do your best. The best you can.